Welcome to video 5 of the Find, Fix, and Flip. And here's today's topic: failing to hire talent and then delegating everything possible. Out of the 5 deadly sins, this is number 4. And remember, the reason we want to know these 5 sins is because when we see these in a business, if we can name the problem the business owner is having, then it's going to be very easy for us to come in and fix that company so that we can flip it and make more profit. Now, when work comes to my desk, I can ask myself 2 questions. How am I going to do this? Or who is going to do this? But remember, companies don't get big because they fail to delegate. Only 4 out of 100 businesses ever hit $1 million in sales, and then only 4 out of 1,000 ever get to 10 million. But big companies don't buy businesses under 10 million in sales for the most part. There may be a rare exception, but you can't live on the rare exception. You have to get big if you want to be bought out. So here's what happens in a business in the hierarchy of sales and their management. Most small companies start out, and until they're up to about 150,000 in sales, and that's right down here at the bottom. When a customer needs something, the owner does the work for them, and the owner hands them the bill, and the owner gets the check. And generally, these people provide very high quality service because they're doing the work, and they actually make pretty good money, but they end up working way too many hours as the business starts to grow. So then they go out and they hire employees, and employees start to happen at about 150,000 in revenue. And so when a customer needs something now, the employee does it, but the boss supervises the employee directly. The boss is standing by the restaurant table, or the boss is standing next to the printing press, but the boss is very close to the event of what's going on. Once a company gets past $500,000, though, then they will hire a manager, because at $500,000 and more, usually there are 5 employees now, and they need to hire a manager so that the boss doesn't have to be on deck all the time. They're getting kind of tired. So now when a customer needs something, the supervisor has a written plan. In most cases, we hope so anyway, and they've trained the staff to fulfill the task. But here's something really interesting. This is right where 96% of all businesses hit the ceiling of growth, because the complexity of running the business starts to exceed the owner's understanding or skill set. And so what we need to understand is how to become the person that starts to look at the big picture and looks at how do I put the systems in place that run the business without me being there. So if you ever expect to get past that $500,000 to $1.5 million mark, then you've got to build systems into the business. So when a customer now needs something, you look at the aggregate reports, everything that clients and customers ask for, and then you plan strategic steps, tactical steps, or strategies for the future deliverables. Now, one of my favorite books of all time on business is The 10 Roads to Riches by Ken Fisher, the guy that writes in the Wall Street Journal. And one of the chapters, own a business. If you're not a tort lawyer and you didn't marry rich, the 3rd easiest way to get rich is to run a business. And he said it really boils down to 4 steps. Make something happen, figure out how you did it, hire someone to do it from now on, and then go make something bigger happen. So that really, interestingly, that pretty much boils it down. Or as my rich buddy Michael McCafferty would say, do it, document it, and then delegate it. Now, we see this as a common theme among rich people. They don't actually do any of the work. They're the boss. And here's what's really interesting. Your employees need you to be the boss, because if you're not the boss, if you're not doing boss things, and that means thinking about how to build a great business, then they're not going to get the raises they believe they deserve, and they don't have a future in this company because it's not going to be successful. So when I walk into a business and I see the owner's desk is a mess, their phone rings nonstop, employees are always asking them questions all day long, I know that I'm in a company that is underutilizing its assets. And that's a company that's ripe for fixing and flipping. Now, what if your work is too complicated? Well, I got to tell you, that's a big lie. We believe our work's so difficult that no one else can figure it out, so it can't be delegated. But if you have a task that's so difficult that nobody can do it but you, then you've got a business model that's too complicated and it can never grow. So look for these complicated tasks that you feel have to be done at your desk, and then remove them. Either re-engineer your business process, eliminate the task entirely, ask, do we really have to even do this, or outsource the complicated task to some other firm and then forget about it. But do not become trapped in the belief of your own self-importance. If you can't leave your office, you're a slave to it. Now, here's what we do in our business. We invented a system called bottom-up delegation, and it standardizes our business model. All work comes into our business at the lowest paid person, and we use Delegation Magic, a division or part of Paperless Overnight. And all work comes into the business at the very lowest paid person, and they do what they can, but everything's on electronic document, so it can move from person to person in the office, and they do what they can, but anything they cannot do, they move up to the manager. Anything the manager can't do, they move up to the supervisor. If there's anything the supervisor wants a decision on, then they'll ask me to look at it, but almost no actual real work ever gets to my desk, and that's exactly the way I want to run a company. I don't want the work here. I only want the thinking here. Now, to make this bottom-up work, we simply went through and flow charted the processes, and we just did on the most 10 common things that came in the office to start with, and then everything else became easy to flow chart after that. But you can use Gliffy.com, Gliffy.com, online flow charting software, $5 a month. It is so easy to build flowcharts and systems. And then when work comes in, using something like Paperless Overnight for around $97 a month, all your documents come in at the lowest paid person in the 3 categories: production, marketing, finance. They do what they can, and here's what's really interesting. When work comes in, the work automatically is attached to the flowchart or the video or the audio file that you recorded on how to get it done. So when work goes up the skill chain, your staff people know exactly how to do it because they do it the way you said it should be done 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago. And the other nice thing is when somebody leaves, all that company knowledge doesn't leave with them. Now, simply use the Six Sigma concept if you're having difficulty figuring out how to flowchart a task. And that means identify the task and explore the opportunities or the different variable ways to do this. Set a goal. How soon do we want the phone to be answered? How soon do we want to put a customer order in the mailbox? And then look for different ways to do this. Make a selection on what you believe is the best, implement it, and then go back and test it to see how it happens and how it worked out. Now, the next most important part of today's lesson is hire talent. When I talk to the vast majority of business people that I consult with and talk to in companies I buy, they are totally shocked that I spend more time looking for good employees and managers and joint venture partners than I do looking for customers and clients. And people are shocked at this. They say, well, you're a great marketer and you don't even look for customers? It's more important for me to find good people to man the place, because the most important person in my company is, first of all, the employee. Second is then is the customer, and third are my vendors who help me supply services to those customers to make them happy. So the first thing I do is I find partners. Since I own multiple companies, I find the partner first, and then I find the opportunity. And that's what I tell people that are looking about going into the find, fix, and flip business. Start looking for your first partner today. And not every one of them is going to work out. As a matter of fact, most aren't going to work out that you talk to, but start looking for the person that you're going to joint venture this business with. Every business should have 3 marketing campaigns going on all the time. One for finding great employees, one for finding partners and managers, and one for finding joint ventures in finance. Now, that's at your level. That's CEO level work. I'm not talking about your finding customers marketing. I'm talking about building the business marketing and building your equity and your wealth, and that's going to come from employees. Let me give you an example. This weekend, I took my son over to get his first haircut, and he was crying, he was upset, so I walked across the street to the See's Candy to get him a little piece of chocolate. And when I walked in, the girl behind the counter was the most delightful, engaging, intelligent, and impressive girl I've ever met at a See's candy store. And so I'm enthralled with this, and I'm talking to her, a very attractive young woman, about 25, 26, obviously old enough to be out of college at this point. Her syntax and dictation led me to believe that she either went to Catholic school or she was a college graduate. And so I engaged her and started chatting with her about her why she worked there and etc. And I got to tell you, I'm going to go back now. Here's what I'm going to do, because I want to hire this girl. She's probably working for $8 an hour, and she was so engaging. I know that this young woman can make me a lot of money. So I'm going back to the store again in the next 3 days. If I can catch her there, I want to see if she's just as engaging as the first time. And if so, then I'm going to invite that young woman to a lunch or breakfast meeting, because that's somebody that I want to know. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You always look for those people that can help you build great businesses. Remember, hire talent. And once you get that talent, it's going to be so much easier to build a successful business, so that you'll be able to live in the pajama kingdom and someday sell that company. Okay, thank you very much for listening to video number 5.